The Energized Show, up the Irish.
Okay, what's going on, guys? And welcome to a brand new episode of Energized, brought to you by Our Kings Competitions. Ross,
are you intoxicated or something?
Introduce the guest, man.
Today we have the Oktagon light heavyweight champion. It's the Care Bear. It's a Tipperary Lion. It's the one and only Will fucking Fleury. Will, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Care Bear. I love that. A lot of people forgot Care Bear.
Yeah. Man, you're a man who's had many nicknames. You're one of the very few fighters who have also been to my ma's gaff for a cup of tea. One of the first ever guests we had on the podcast. So, Will, great to have you here. Great to have you here. Will, I feel like for ages you were trying to find your lane in the sport. You're trying to find the right, fight promotion that was home for you. And I feel like you've done that. We've seen you in Bellator, we've seen you in PFL, we've seen you UA Warriors. You seem to be very embraced by Oktagon. And now you're going for champ status. You're going for the heavyweight belt. Do you think if, you asked most of the population of MMA fans, they said, Will Fleury's going for champ status, light heavyweight champ, do you think they would have thought you would have went back down to middleweight?
Probably. But this opportunity came up and I wasn't going to let it go. So, I think I could be a triple champ, to be honest. I think after I win this belt, I could potentially go down. It's more just what's the incentive. So there's a couple of options open once I do this. But the main thing is, like, your man Tollef's a tough fighter. I'm focused on him right now. But there's a lot of possibilities out there,
Yeah, well, I think this one actually excited me more because I'm like, well, I've seen, we've seen you win the UAE Warriors middleweight title. And I was like, now heavyweight, I go, this is a new challenge. It's exciting. Like, there's a high possibility you'll probably be like a betting underdog going into this one just because, it's your heavyweight debut, fighting for the belt. Like, this is like the things dreams are made of. And you're going to fight over in Stuttgart, a place that Ireland has made famous. Like, how excited are you for this opportunity?
Yeah, it's cool. Like, look, I think within the last year, everything I've done has become kind of bigger and bigger, step by step. And obviously going for this double champ thing is pretty huge. But it's funny because you just get into the mindset of like, okay, cool, next challenge. It's very kind of routine. Everything for the last year has just been like, cool, new challenge. Okay, what's next? So like, the knockout in Frankfurt was a pretty class experience. Fighting with the broken hand was a different feeling that time. And that felt like the biggest achievement, to be honest. I felt like once I'd done that, it was kind of like, okay, cool, all bets are off. The doors are open and possibilities are endless now. But I obviously had to go away and get surgery on that. But since I came back from the Frankfurt fight, and even like within a couple of seconds of knocking Langer out, I was over calling Carlos out, and like my mind's just been focused on like, okay, cool, how can I make this as big as possible? And so far, I'm killing it with that. And like they rang me. I fought on Sunday evening, and on Thursday night, I got the call about this fight, and there was literally zero hesitation in my mind. It wasn't like, oh, when's it going to be or anything. They said, do you want to fight Tata for the heavyweight? Yeah, cool. And then I was like, okay, when is it? What's the crack? When? It's like the details don't matter. I'm going to do it, but like, let me know anyway, for fuck's sake. So yeah, like it's been a bit of a mad journey, and this definitely is very exciting, but it's weird how casual it all feels as well.
Yeah, like I think like this is definitely probably the best run of performances we've seen out of you. The head and arm against Skivor was brilliant. Obviously the knockout against Langer went pure viral. That was like almost like your coming out party for Octagon, that you were like, Will fucking Fleury has arrived and he's taking no prisoners, and then just pure domination over an absolute veteran in sport, UFC veteran in Vermola. Will Fleury, everything you're touching at the moment is turning to gold, and that gold's about to double in Stuttgart. So I for one definitely can't wait to say it. Obviously us Irish fans are probably newer to the Oktagon brand and promotion, and obviously you've been studying these guys now because ever since you stepped into the division. What can we expect from Tadav?
He's a tidy fighter, so like, look, I think he's probably the best guy I've fought so far in Octagon. His overall record's 11-6, but he was actually 2-5, and now he's won 9 out of his last 10 fights. So since then, he's got 9-1, and Yeah, like even the only fight he lost in that period of time was to Tief Well, who's the former champ, and that was a very close fight. Like a lot of people think he won that fight actually. So I'm not underestimating the guy at all. I think like he's very fast for a heavyweight. You know, he moves quite well for a heavyweight too. So we're basically both big light heavyweights who aren't going to cut. And I see the skill set he's bringing, and I'm like, look, he's a solid fighter. He's probably the best guy I've fought so far. But I feel like I can smash guys like him. You know, and again, I've been showing that for the last year that that's the level I'm at. I've done the work to be at that level. Now it's on me to go in there and prove that on the 8th of March. You know, so I'm very excited about this one. I did like it's definitely a challenge, and I respect the challenge that it is. And even moving up to a new weight class, like you were saying, it's like, yeah, you're probably the underdog here. But I don't feel like, look, I know I have to do the work to be, you know, physically prepared for this one because it's a higher weight class, and the guys could be huge in future. You never know. But I feel like mentally and fucking skill set wise, I'm extremely well prepared for this.
And with that being said, Will, obviously you touched on the weight factor. Like, come fight night when you're fighting 205, what would you sort of walk into the cage at? And then obviously you don't want to put on too much size or too much weight that would compromise your speed and your movement. So like, how do you navigate that, and who do you discuss that with?
Kind of just thought about it for a while myself. So I was on holidays the week I got the call, and I came back training about 5 days afterwards. And my whole thing was like, I'm not going to gain that much. I'm just going to eat and be healthy and see where I end up at. And that's what I've done so far. So normally, if I was walking in for a light heavyweight fight, I'd be about 105 kilos, and I'd spend most of the camp about that roughly. And then I'd like 2 or 3 weeks out, I'd drop down a bit. And I'd be like 101, 102. And then the last week, I'd be just cutting the weight and making the 93. For this one, if I walk into the cage at 107, that'd be good. We'll see. Like, I'm not really like, obviously, I don't have to do any weight cut or out like that. So it's kind of like how much water did you drink the night before and all that type of thing. So I'm not, nutritionally, I haven't done that massively different. I'm not trying to put on a significant amount of weight. I'm basically just fueling the body and performing as well as I can. And like you said, the last thing you want to do is go in as a different athlete, like where you're losing your speed a little bit. You're not used to moving the body you have. That was one of the things when I was like putting on all the weight to go up to light heavyweight. It was like, yeah, it takes a while for your heart to get used to carrying that extra bit of weight. So I know if I was trying to do that quite quickly in the space of 6 or 8 weeks, your body's just not going to respond well to that. So I know myself that I can beat up heavyweights with the body like with where I am now. And it's just on me to be smart about how I approach that in a tactics sense.
You up the raw bastard. We're going to see the rawest version, yeah, because no weight cut. That's a dangerous Will Fleury. Will, actually, I did want to ask you. I did want to ask you
unlimited spuds.
Unlimited
Yes.
spuds. I did want to ask you. Obviously, someone who you would have trained with quite a lot. Johnny Walker has gone back to, or he's gone to Vegas permanently. How often were you training with Johnny, and is that a big body you'll miss?
It's definitely gone miss, yeah. And we were training together quite a lot. So Johnny and Carl would have been my main training partners for the last 5 years. He came in 2019 and then he was gone for a little while and then back again. But for most of the last 5 years, he's been here pretty much nonstop. And he would have been, Carl kind of fights and then he's gone for a few months and then he's back. And, me and Carl will be best mates when he's here, but he's not always here. Johnny was always here, so that was great. And when he left, it sucks, and I'll go over to Vegas and I'll see him a good bit. Like, even he's been inviting me over non-stop, and like I'm definitely gonna head over because I've free gaff there now as well, which is sweet. So
Nice.
it's like it's kind of cool to have that option in a way, but I'm gutted he's gone too. So that has sucked in one way, but then it's just another incentive to get out and travel and see more. Like, I love training over in Vegas. I've been over a few times already, so it's just another incentive to go. But I wish he was still here, to be honest. Yeah.
He's there with your mate Sean Strickland as well, so you have a few buddies over there.
Exactly. Yeah. No, and Eric and the lads. I get on well with everybody in the gym. It's a great place, man.
No, absolutely. It's just sad to see him leave for your sake, I suppose. But look, it is what it is. So, with that being said, then where are the big bodies coming from then? If Carl's not in the gym as well at the moment.
crowd's just come back, thank God.
Just in time.
Yeah, it really was. So like Johnny was gone about 3 weeks, and then Carl arrived back in, which was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Because up until then, I was going to head over to Manchester and I was going to go back to Birmingham. So I trained in Renegade a little bit coming up to the Langer fight, just because Johnny had just broke his nose shortly after that, or shortly before that. So he wasn't around much for those couple of weeks. So this has happened in the past. I was going to have to go away again, but then Carl came back and I was like, are you definitely here? And he was like, yeah, I'm around. And he has been, in fairness to him. So he's been my main sparring partner and my main training partner for all of this. And then like, I have Mohammed in the gym as well, and Mohammed's really high level. Like, people massively underestimate how good Mohammed is. I think he's beating J-Rod now, so everybody kind of knows. But like, in terms of skill set, he's an incredible young lad, and he's a big guy too. So like, it's great having him around. And then look, there's big bodies like Kieran Smullen. I've been doing a lot of sparring with the last year as well, and Kieran's hands are very tidy. You know, I feel like I went over to Birmingham and I was sparring with guys who were considered really high level fighters, and coming back and sparring Kieran, I was like, Kieran's hands are probably better than a lot of these lads. So there's a lot of talent and a lot of big guys who are talented in the country. It's just kind of getting them all together. I think it's just we're rare, so it's kind of, you know, you have to organize people to be where they need to be. It's not like I can just show up on a day and expect there to be some high level big lad there training with us. There isn't going to be.
Yeah,
but
bit different as well,
long
because
organized
some
things.
are just sort of jiu-jitsu specialists, or like they just do jiu-jitsu, or you know what I mean, or like you could go meet someone, you know, who's just a boxer or something like that. It's hard to find the high level larger MMA lads, and I think like yourself and Carl Moore, few and far between, but like no better body to go against than a big fine specimen like him, because he's an absolute unit of an individual.
When we had the three of us here, it was amazing, because like I don't think there are many gyms around Europe that I can go to even that have that many, you know, high level big lads. Like, you can go elsewhere and they're big lads, but they're probably not great, to be honest. So like, me, Carl, and Johnny all been here based here for a good while. We really did, you know, we leveled up on each other a lot. Like, and I got some great training in those years, and I'm really glad we had those. But like, I still think like, if you're willing to travel to spar for a couple of weeks to go anywhere, most of it is just developing your skill set outside of that, and just having that curiosity and having that bit of passion about it. Because like, look, you're saying there like, oh, individual guys, and they have like different skill sets, you know. So some of those guys are only jiu-jitsu guys. I've probably learned more from training with the likes of Muhammad and some of the other young lads who are coming out, like Ryan Dunn, and you know, all these young lads who just like, they're bringing a new passion and they're bringing in a buzz to it that, you know, I have to remind myself, like, okay, yeah, you're very experienced in some of this stuff, but there's new stuff out there, man.
Of
And
course.
like, the new stuff's the great, like, you know, as long as you're willing to adapt to what's going on and like, you know, use your experience, but at the same time, have an open mind towards what's coming. It keeps you young in a way, and it keeps you kind of hungry to keep learning. And I'm really glad that I have them lads around in the gym as well, like, because, you know, it keeps you open minded and it keeps you kind of like on your toes a little bit as well, because like, you know, Mohammed has fucked me up on a regular basis, and Ryan Dunn's caught me with a few leg locks once or twice as well. It's like, oh shit, I have to keep learning here, you know. If I want to be the boss, you gotta stay on top of shit, like, you know. So like, it's cool. I love that buzz.
Is it just a bit of freshness, you'd say, Will?
Sorry?
Is it just a bit of freshness, you'd say?
Yeah, but also like, it's interesting, as in like, if you're doing the same shit again and again, it gets very tedious and you get a bit like, she's just training for another fight. Whereas if you're coming in and there's something new, and there's a new leg lock sequence, or there's a new like way of passing, or there's a new like, oh, I separate the guy's hips, or I do this when I'm in this position. And like, look, I've been working a little bit with Owen Pluck, who's in the high performance team, the last kind of 3 years nearly now. But like, I'm always adding new things to my game, or I'm always trying to add new things to my game, and like, always trying to kind of develop a new skill set and develop a new thing, and like, you know, find little details that refine the skill set that you already have. Without all that stuff, it'd be really boring. It'd be really tedious. And like, there are times where it's kind of like, nothing's really that exciting right now. And they're the harder days to go training. But it's like, if you still have a reason that you want to go, because you want to learn something, you want to progress, you want to get better at something, it's much easier to justify the effort. And I feel like that's what a lot of guys who just fight lack. Because there's a different mentality to fighting. It's like, just be in shape, just be ready, just be mentally strong, blah, blah, all that. But stay learning too, you know. And they're different things. Like, I feel like the period I learned most was 2021, which was a year where I couldn't really fight. I just lost the Bellator contract, and Like I was on a win streak at that stage, but at the same time, it was like, right, I have to go away and fucking not fight for a while, and COVID was shutting everything down. But I couldn't believe how much I learned that year. And then I realized, like, well, actually, if you can just integrate that mentality into when you're fighting as well, of like, should just be playful, just have a laugh, just like explore things. And, when it's fight night, you're going to be pretty fucking serious about it anyway, because some guy's going to be trying to whoop your ass. But if
Mm,
you've taken the last few weeks of training more as like a game, you're going to be a hell of a lot better. And you're going to have a much more advanced understanding of what you're about to do.
mm. Big time, man. Like, I think it's great to see you be so open to training. I think something that could be cool. Obviously, you said you were training Renegade, but maybe if give Tom Aspinall a shout because he has like pure heavyweights only. Basically, I know. Well, James Webb's trained there as well, so like that could be cool. That could be a nice place for you to get in with to get if you went
It
over
was
there for a
actually,
couple of
that's
weeks.
where I was planning on going. Even myself, Carl, the first week Carl was back, he was like, sure, we'll go over there for a week. And then we had Johnny back, and then Johnny was like, I'll come over to Vegas. So we were half thinking about going off to Vegas for a couple of weeks, the two of us. But we ended up not doing either. Just being like, I was kind of more worried about like, look, new sparring partners,
Mm,
injuries. Main thing is don't get injured now. So a couple of weeks, like maybe after this fight, I know Carl has the fight, like he's in the tournament now, so he has
mm,
a fight coming up as well. So maybe we'll head over to Manchester for a week or two for his camp after, which would be cool. And like, look, all those things are class because it's like you're still going to be expanding, you're still going to be learning. It's
mm,
new experiences, keeps you interested. It keeps you just like even the last year, nothing is monotonous. It's
mm,
all a new camp, a new thing, a new. And like, there's times where your body's like, oh man, just give me a fucking break.
mm,
It's been camp after camp after camp, but like, it's the days where you're buying into something new. It's the days where there's some like fresh piece of info where you're like, oh, cool. And then
mm,
you're integrating that into your game and sparring, and the next week, and you're like, oh, class. Look at how
mm.
that's kind of come into the game now. Like, so yeah, look, I'm excited about, continuing the journey and like, please God, I'll be able to do this for a couple more years. And I really want to get like to the highest level I can and get the best out of it all. Like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, can I just ask, what was the reaction like when you came back to Ireland with the belt? For the people that aren't actually watching, you can see is right behind you with Bob wearing it very nicely.
oh, shit, where do I go here? Yeah, that guy. So Bob was delighted, obviously. He doesn't show it, he's a bit stoic, but like he was happy out. And and yeah, look, like obviously family and everybody was delighted, and like I was amazed at the reaction it got back in care because like I don't know, I don't go home as much as I'd like to these
Mm,
days, but anytime I do, it's a huge buzz and like people are really, yeah, unbelievably supportive. Because I know, like, I was on off ball there recently, and I was talking about the attitude towards MMA in Ireland and how
mm,
some of the time it's like the mainstream media doesn't take the best, or well, doesn't have the best impression of what MMA is. But like, I'm always like, because most of the people around are a good bit older, like in the town, who'd be supporting me and whatever, and they're of my parents' generation, say maybe a little bit younger than that, but like they're not young and they're
mm,
very supportive, which is class because I
mm,
don't experience that much. I'd like it's always younger people who are into MMA in my eyes, and like it's great to see that, to feel that, and to like feel like you have the supportive community behind you, which is that's kind of blown me away a bit, to be honest. Like even like yeah, like there's been a couple of things about this last year that have been really positive in a way, like where it's been quite like. And again, you don't really need it as such because I was doing this anyway, and like I'm
mm,
not doing this for anybody else. I'm doing this for myself and just to my own buzz because I love the fighting. Like I actually really just genuinely enjoy fighting. But it is really nice when things like that happen and you see like, some of the coverage you get in the local newspapers and like even people posting up about you from the town and saying how much of a fucking
mm.
inspiration you are and all that. And you're like, jeez, I'm just doing what I'm doing, like fuck's sake. But it's nice. Yeah, you do get a bit like blown away by that sometimes.
Yeah. And what are you expecting the fanfare to be like with a second belt to bring back to Tipperary?
Yeah, look, here's the thing. That second belt will be class, right? I'm delighted, but like again, you have to make it happen first. But like to do that, to chase that ball and to go and get it, that'll be amazing. But it's about the next thing. I know as soon as I get that, I'm going to need another goal. And I already have one in mind, but I'm going to reveal that after the fight. I'm going to keep it to myself for a bit. But like, I'm fully focused on this right now. I understand that Tanev is a huge challenge, and I don't want to dismiss him at all because I do think like this is the toughest fight I've had so far this year, like in the last year. But I want another goal, and I have another big goal in mind afterwards. And I think I can make that happen, and I think it'll be very interesting.
Super heavyweight. Isn't that right, Ross?
Beast weight, 140 plus.
But
There's not enough
Will,
spuds in the island for it.
Bring in more spuds, lads.
obviously, Will, like you've been on fire. Like the opportunities are, you're making them happen. I didn't want to say they're falling into your lap because you're actually making them happen. You're going out, you're making the noise.
Well, look, it's one thing I wanted to thank you for as well. With the Carlos fight, like that was one that I really had to pursue because they definitely didn't want that to happen. And you lads gave us a hand with that too, which, and all made the difference. And like putting the pressure on them, it eventually paid off. And I know for a fact that fight wouldn't have happened unless I'd started doing stuff like that. And you got behind it and you pushed it too. So fair play. Thanks a million for doing that. It was all part of it. But yeah, it didn't just happen. We made it happen. And like,
no, but like at the end of the day, like you put his name in your mouth, and we were like, it was easy for us to get behind because we were like, makes sense. Like
it did make sense, but it was more from a business point of view. They didn't seem to want it because they knew that, like, okay, an Irish guy in a Czech-based promotion isn't going to sell anywhere near as well as a Czech guy in a Czech-based promotion. And if we're going to give him this opportunity, how do we know he's going to be as big? But I think like the amount of pressure that also Czech fans, in fairness to them, put on him to have this fight to actually do it. But then like when they saw, hold on, a lot of people in Ireland seem to want this, and a lot of people in Ireland seem to care about this and seem to think that this is logical. And it's like, sure, how can they not give you this fight? You've just smashed the number one contender.
Yeah.
But fair play. Thanks for putting a bit of pressure on them as well. Like it all made a difference eventually.
Look, make a few posters, throw them out there. You know what I mean? And
send us on a few spuds there.
It's already happened. You know what I mean? So no, it has to be done. And like, look, like I said, you made the opportunity happen. You know what I mean? It wasn't as straightforward. You weren't originally their number one pick to get in there, but once you got the opportunity, you took it and you ran with it. So like that's unbelievable to see. One thing I do want to see is that like they obviously do this like sort of, and I don't know 100% how it works, but they do this like tip sport €1 million game changer, I'm going to call it. Yeah. Is that something that you want to get involved with? Because obviously, those bills ain't cheap. So, you know what I mean? You want to pay the bills. And like, obviously, like you say, you have a few years left in you, but, you want to put some away for the retirement package.
100%. So that's what I offered to do this year. That's why I thought this is why they called me so early, I think, because I was losing weight to go down to middleweight because that's where the real like life-changing money was. So the tip sport game changer is €1 million overall prize. So the winner gets about 400 grand, and like 400 grand euros. So it's pretty good. Like, but I was willing to do that. There was still one slot available. Now I've learned recently since that they had that spot filled already by the time I'd fought Carlos. But I thought in my own head that if I could get down there was a fight in April that I could have made the middleweight for and been part of $1 million tournament. But they called me pretty quickly and were like, look, that's not an option, but we have the heavyweight belt there if you want to fight for that. And heavyweight belt's class, but if they were doing the $1 million tournament at light heavy, obviously I would absolutely love to do that. Or like it's very unlikely they'll do it again at middleweight. But if they were doing it in any weight class, anywhere near what I could make, I would 100% do that. And I see that your man Macman Burdolph, the guy that I called out in the cage back in December, he's not doing that $1 million tournament. And part of that tells me he's getting paid well enough to not do it. But like, I don't like a lad like that. It's kind of like you're looking for easy fights, mate. So do you even want to? I felt that buzz of like, oh, we have to go to middleweight. He's huge. We could easily do a catch weight. So look, there's lots of options. But I have a couple of mine that are pretty interesting. I think more interesting than any of the ones that I've explored there.
I will just on the financial aspect of it. Obviously, if you become champ, how many fights do you have on this contract, and does your contract change after you've won the belt?
Yeah. So there was a good bit of back and forth negotiation about that, but like I have after this fight 2 fights left. So I signed a 4-fight deal before the Carlos fight, but that deal got kind of little bit changed. I can't go into too much detail, obviously,
No,
but
of course,
like,
I'm not asking you to
yeah,
put
yeah,
down the
no,
figures,
no,
but I
no,
just want
but
to make
like,
sure you've been looked
basically,
after more since winning the belt.
yes, yeah. So like, once I started going for the double champ thing, I was like, no, no, we can't. That's not the same as defending the belt. So there was a little bit of back and forth about that, obviously. And I'm been compensated for going for double champ, and it's a bit more. There's an incentive to be the double champ, basically. And like right now, I'm okay. Like things are good, but again, I feel like I have the ability to make things a hell of a lot better, if you know what I mean.
Of
And
course, yeah, but like if you're
I
walking
think
around with 2 belts, you're going to be the face of the organization. You know what I mean? And if you're the face of the organization, they need to pay you like the face of the organization. You know what I mean? So like, you know what I mean? Like that needs to be made right. Like obviously, you know, if they're putting you in that position, they're starting to believe in the Will Fleury hype train. You know?
I think though, like, look, what I've done in the last year, and again, you like blowing your own trumpet isn't going to do you too many favors, but like, I came in and fought with a broken hand, so I could have easily pulled out of that fight and put them in a tough position. I didn't. I
Mm.
came in, I showed up, and I won. Right after that, it went the way I got surgery. Then I came into this, the number one contender fight with very little fanfare, very little anything, and I gave them the best performance of the night in a 60,000 seater stadium. And I straight away called out the champion. So from a promotional point of view, guys, that should be exactly what you want. And then when I eventually campaigned enough to get that title fight, I did my duty promotionally. I did my duty on the fight. I did my duty with everything. So from a promoter's point of view, I've been a dream for them so far. And again, I'm not complaining. They've done a very good job too. This has been a good relationship, and like they're doing things well. They do their job well. I do my job well. It's worked very well so far. I just feel like we're breaking into significant markets. Germany's huge. It's a massive country, 80 million people there. Like, I can definitely sell to a German audience. Like, obviously, I already have. The show is very nearly sold out already, which is incredible. And fair play. Look, that their branding, that's not based off the back of Will Fleury's name. But again, everybody is going to be like, whoa, shit, this guy's damn good after a win perform. And that's what I've worked for. And that's the level, like, I'm talking here about being passionate about training, blah, blah. But the end result is what I'm going to be able to do on March 8th. And that's going to be special. And if you're showing up and buying a ticket for that, you're going to go, whoa, man, that guy's good. Man, that guy's entertaining. Man, that guy got on the mic afterwards. He called out, blah, 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 right? You can build that. You can sell another show off of that. Because I'm not coming in as some fake product. I'm not some guy that was like hyped up and didn't have it. I've done the work. I am this. I've been here for 15 years talking away doing this thing. So you get good at what you do consistently. And like, I've been consistently doing this stuff to the best of my abilities. So like, that's what I mean, man. Like, I don't know who I can't beat right now. And I want to keep exploring that and keep finding out. You look, this heavyweight thing, it's a new challenge. But I feel like every challenge you put in front of me, I'm going to figure out a way to smash it. And it kind of has to get bigger and bigger. So again, right now, full focus on that. It's only 2 weeks and 5 days till that fight. But like, I know in my heart of hearts, you put me in that position, I'm going to capitalize. I'm going to do it. So like, then it becomes like, okay, cool. What's next? And I don't know how far this can go, but I want to find out. And like, there's nothing in me that wants to die without getting my ass whooped, if you know what I mean. Like, you're playing the Game of Thrones. You just got to figure out how far can you take it? How far can this go? And if that involves like, okay, you get smashed by some lad someday, cool. That's fine with me. I want to just find out what I'm at.
Will, do you believe that you could be the person to bring Oktagon to Dublin?
Yeah. No, like if someone's going to do it, it's going to be me. I think there's a couple of challenges there right now where like they came to England, they got burned by England. They think England and Ireland are the same thing. It's on me to prove to them that that's not the case. But from their point of view, if you can sell out a 15,000 seater stadium in Germany without having to do all the safety precautions you have to do in Ireland, without having to probably pay as much for the venue, the tickets aren't cheap either. They're selling like I think the cheapest tickets for this were 90 quid. So they can make a hell of a lot more money off of having a show there than they can off coming to Ireland, and they don't have to pay as much either. From a pure business point of view, I can understand why the hell they wouldn't be interested. But if I go in and create this legacy champ kind of status with them, where it's like you're obviously the face of this brand, you're obviously the guy. Your boy wants to fight at home eventually, you know. It's there like, you owe me a fucking fight here. So it's on me to make that the reality, you know. And I feel like I kind of deep down know that I can, but it's creating that. And there's a lot of like, I think in a way, it's nearly just mapping out how you're going to do that is the hardest part. And like, just kind of opportunities come. And if you're willing and you're able to exploit that opportunity, do. So it's like the Carlos fight, you know, things kind of just align beautifully for that. I feel like that will happen again at some point in time. And it will be an opportunity for an Irish show. And I will like, sooner or later, lads, I'm going to make that thing happen. But I don't like. I'm not holding my breath. I don't think it's going to be after this fight. Or I don't think it will be within 2025 even. But I'm going to be around for a while, and eventually I'm going to make that thing happen.
I think one thing I would love to see is like Oktagon try to do a somewhat smaller show over here. It doesn't have to be like one of their numbered events, but maybe like do a challenger series, because like the amount of talent in this country who are like, you know, about to make their pro debut up to their first 5 fights is absolutely frightening. You know what I mean? Like, you obviously there's loads of guys in the SPG. Like, we see loads of guys in Fight Academy Ireland. You know, the various SPGs across the country, Team Rhinos, MMA Cork, etc., etc. That like, I'd love to see them do like almost like invest into like a smaller show, maybe in like, you know, the RDS or something like that. You get, you know, you 3,000 tickets and, you know, you put on a show there, and like the people have an opportunity to like win an Oktagon contract or something along those lines. Because I think like there's massive potential for that.
Yeah, but
no,
also,
I agree with you.
but also to bring Will out in front of the Irish MMA fans as well. Like, I mean, he's a world champion.
Oh yeah, but that's obviously a no-brainer. You'd hardly have an Irish show out here without Will Fleury. Will could probably be on comms or something for the night. Who knows?
Yeah.
But even look, I think I agree with you. The talent here in comparison to over there, like Central Europe, seems to kind of have a lack of talent and a hell of a lot of space. You know, they have a hungry audience. And again, thank God, because that's what I've gone over and exploited, the fact that like people are really interested in MMA there, and yet like they don't have really, really high level fighters. And I'm a very high level fighter. I've gone out and shown that, and there's no audience there for it. I think we have a hell of a lot of talent, but probably not the biggest audience right now. And it would take a little bit of an investment to make that audience. And I think that that's what they're unwilling to create. And I don't think it's because there's a lack of interest in MMA here, but I think can you get like most of our fan base is young lads, and can you get a young lad to pay €120 for a ticket, or you know pay for a VIP section or pay for any of that? Because in Central Europe they will, and they're generally speaking a slightly older or more family based crowd. Like from their point of view, from a business point of view, I don't know how you sell it to them, and I don't like financially, I don't know how you make it work as well as they have in Central Europe. So I can see why they wouldn't be massively interested in that. But again, like I think if there's a local show that could do that, like if like we've so much talent here, genuinely, I'm not talking shit, like, there really is. When I come back and train in Ireland after having been anywhere else, I'm like, whoa, levels here is good, like it is. And I think we nearly underestimate ourselves. And I know that there was the whole like wave after Connor and the gold generation, and they didn't quite go out and succeed the way they could have. But like I think since then we've nearly been underestimated. And like it was beautiful to see Paul Hughes do that with Usman, because like in my eyes he won that fight, but also like just to show like, hold on, no, Dagestan doesn't have a dominance on this thing. And again, like look, they have a lot of great fighters. I'm not trying to be in any way shitty towards them at all, but like we have a scene here that we can be very, very proud of. And there's a level of talent here that we can be very proud of. And yeah, look, we can do better, definitely, and like there's questions that need to be asked and people who need to kind of hold themselves accountable to be better than what they are. But like I think overall we probably have better fighters than we do opportunities, if you know what I mean. And I feel lucky in a way that I'm one of the fighters who went over to Central Europe and got these opportunities. But if a domestic show was to come along and promote things the right way and create the right indigenous audience, there's huge opportunities here. There really is. And like, like there's opportunities in terms of like the level of talent of the guys you can promote, the level of fights you can create. Like you can create great domestic fights. And I know Cage Legacy were kind of doing that a little bit, but like I think if you get in the right guys or like, the right fighters, the right buzz, you get it out on the right channels. Like there's a whole infrastructure here that people could be exploiting, and I feel like it's not been exploited the way it could be. I don't know if it's Octagon that are going to come and do that. Hopefully, please God, it is, because like I can be part of that, and that'd be amazing. But the opportunity is definitely there for somebody to do it.
Yeah, there's definitely
Yeah,
potential.
absolutely, and like I think I'm buzzing to see it. You know what I mean? Like I think the talent's there in spade loads, and I feel like there's more young talent now in this country than we've ever seen. And look,
Yeah, definitely.
you can take a young man who grew up with the parents selling antique furniture from Care, going all the way to win world titles over in the Czech Republic. You know what I mean? And then winning another world title in Stuttgart. You know what I mean? Like these are the things where these are the things that dreams are made of. You know what I mean? So like, there we have it. You know what I mean? And look,
Exactly.
that man's getting booed from start to finish in Czech Republic with a smile on his face.
I was amazed because like I kind of thought some of the crowd might be for me, because when I was over in Slovakia they were all like, fuck Carlos, he's a prick, blah blah blah. And then when I got to Prague, I was like, oh no, they hate me. They love him, they hate me. But it was cool. Like it felt cool because everyone like, even like, I don't know if you noticed, but like when they were announcing me, I was kind of like giving them the whole like cup deer, be like, really me, but I don't know, I just enjoy, like, even if they want to see you get smashed, it's brilliant because they're there, and then it's like afterwards, sure, look what happened. You can't but respect. Like, it's like, well, if you don't respect me now, fuck yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, you beat Carlos from pillar to post.
Well, that's why you have to make sure to tune in to watch Will Fleury try to become champ in Oktagon on March 8th. Will, is there anything you want to say to the people tuning in now that are going to be watching you become champ?
So it's in Stuttgart on March 8th. It's available on the Zone here in Ireland and the UK. And it's also Oktagon.tv. If you don't have a DAZN subscription, you can just sign up on Oktagon.tv. And I think it's about 15 quid for the pay-per-view for the night. So it's pretty reasonable. Yeah, that's it basically.
Okay. Perfect. Will, thank you very much for your time. We'll let you get on with the rest of your day.
Thanks for the coverage.
The Energized Show, up the Irish.
So Ross, that was Will Fleury.
Yeah, man. He's found his home, Oktagon, and I think he sounds better on the mic. He's never looked better in the cage. I think he's really, at peak Will Fleury right now.
Yeah, I'm actually free I didn't get to ask him the question I really wanted to know.
Well, what's his favorite sport?
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna have to message him and then let people know. But Ross, no, it was great. Like, I mean, it's just great to see like Irish athletes doing great things around the world and especially in Europe. Ross, before we get into all the latest MMA news, if you are new to the show, make sure to like and subscribe. But we had Ryan Curtis on the show last week. I'd like to hear your opinions on the feedback from having Ryan Curtis on the show.
Yeah, look, people love and really admire Ryan, myself included. He's just such a larger than life character, and he's someone who I think a lot of people draw, including myself, like great inspiration from. And like, I think, if you're ever feeling down on your luck, or you're ever feeling like, your life is hard, like look at that guy and look what he's overcome. And like, I mean, like he's like a walking Nike advert. Anything is possible,
Yeah. Well said. Yeah. So, Ross, going into the world of mixed martial arts, we're going to have to start with the Ultimate Fighter is after being announced. The two coaches are going to be Daniel Cormier and Chael Sonnen. Before we get into an Irish representative in the show, what do you make of the coaches, Ross?
Well, look, they've picked two of the biggest characters in the sport. Obviously, both have their own accolades. Chael Sonnen has been around the game for a very, very long time. I'm sure some of the more charismatic fighters would love to be on Chael's team, but I think Chael's a straight shooter as well. I think he'll call it how he sees it, and I think he's bringing in the likes of Colby Covington into his coaching squad as well. So like there's no doubt that these guys will have high level coaches, but also in saying that as well, it's not like these guys are starting MMA today. Like at the end of the day, the Ultimate Fighter is about keeping your body healthy and using the coaches to come up with a game plan for each fight. Like that's what it's really about. And then obviously if you can make a bit of a name for yourself off the back of it, all the better. Obviously Daniel Cormier will have some AKA guys. I think Michael Chiesa is actually on his team as well. So like people are saying that obviously DC and Sonnen won't be able to fight, but maybe they should get Chiesa to fight Covington, as the assistant coaches. But yeah, look, I think great coaches. I think obviously, they've both coached tough before, I think. So yeah, I'm here for it.
And then the big announcement is SBG Charlestown's Andreas Binder is going to be competing on the show. LFL champ, Ross.
Yeah, he wasn't actually the only Irish fighter to be offered to be on the show, but he was the only one who actually made it onto the show. Look, Andreas Binder, LFL double champ. I think I'd like to see him on Team DC because double champ status. The two of them have that. But I wouldn't also be surprised to see him on Chael Sonnen's team as well. I think the old mouthpiece wouldn't be a miss either. You know. So look, Andreas Binder is on top form. He smashed his last couple of performances on LFL, and things didn't work out from the PFL. But their loss is now UFC's gain, and the judoka is someone who can put people away.
It just goes to show that, like, if at first you don't succeed, try again, Ross.
Yeah, we'll have plenty of times to make the weight. No, I'm only joking, Binder. We love you on this show. We're big fans. But yeah, hopefully the season goes well for him. And again, another reason for Irish fans to watch The Ultimate Fighter.
They must be watching the show, Ross. It's like, right, who else can we get on?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so yeah, Ross, do you know exactly when it starts?
I think they're filming now already, so
it'll probably be a few months, maybe going into the summer. Yeah. Okay. Then right, in the world of UFC, Ross, the other week after Ryan's show, we didn't feel like it was right to get into what happened at UFC 312, but Dricus du Plessis is and still the UFC middleweight champion, Ross. We can't really overlook that. Who would you like to see him fight next?
Well, to me, it's only two options. There's Khamzat Chimaev and then Nasruddin Imavov. They're the two top contenders in the division. I personally, like, from a star point of view and from pay-per-view point of view, I'd love to see him fight Khamzat. I think that's the fight that the fans want to see. I think Imavov is obviously skill-wise, he's right up there with those guys, but I just don't think he brings the name recognition to a pay-per-view. But I don't know whether we're going to have to see Imavov fight again, or will he be able to wait in the wings, or will he be a backup for the fight? We'll just have to wait and find out. But I think Khamzat is where they will go next with Dricus du Plessis.
And also Weili Zhang defeated Tatiana Suarez. Where does Weili Zhang go from here, Ross, as well?
Look, I know, she hasn't fought fear of Jan Jaroba, but I think people want to see Weili fight, either Shevchenko next, or if Shevchenko's fighting Manon Fiorot, the winner of that. I think that's where people want to see. I think they want to see her fight some of the best. So I think also, you might have the likes of Mackenzie Dern there as well. Like that's a fight maybe you could do. But personally, at this stage, I think I wouldn't mind her moving up. But it just depends on whether the Fiorot-Shevchenko fight is a done deal.
Okay, well, it is going to be very interesting, Ross. Then just over the weekend, Jared Cannonier defeated you there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah.
All right.
I thought you were like, he defeated.
No. I'm trying to think. Hold on.
For RoboCop.
Okay.
Rodriguez.
Oh, yeah, man. Over the weekend, Jared Cannonier defeated RoboCop, aka Gregory Rodriguez. Ross, you're buzzing with this result.
Yeah, big Jared Cannonier fan. What a guy. Doing it for the over 40s. Him and Angela Hill. Angela Hill also got the dub at the weekend. So two people over their 40s getting the job done. Look, Cannonier, he's been around for a while. I think why not have him run it back with Robert Whittaker? It'll be interesting to see what Whittaker's next move is. You could also have him run it back with Sean Strickland, but I think Cannonier's been there for so long, he sort of has to have a few rematches. The only other option is, I don't think he's fought, correct me if I'm wrong, Imavov, so he could actually fight him, just to, if Imavov needs a fight between now and Hamzat Drickus.
Okay, and then this weekend, Ross, UFC is going down Saturday night. Henry Cejudo's taking on Song Yadong. Are you surprised that Cejudo's taking this fight?
Yeah, I feel like they should have done Cejudo versus Cruz or something like that. I know Cruz obviously went out with an injury, but I felt like, they should have booked a legend versus a legend sort of thing for Cruz last fight. Obviously, he was booked to fight Rob Font. Obviously, Cejudo believes he can still mix it in there with the very best and make another title run. Song Yadong, I feel like he's just that guy outside the top 5 that is like sort of knocking on the door, needs a big win. Hard to really know because like normally like a Prime Cejudo, I pick a Prime Cejudo, but I don't know if we're still dealing with a Prime Cejudo at the moment. So yeah, well, look, luckily for me, it'll be your pick this weekend, Basmo. So you can decide who you think is going to win.
Yeah, and shout out to Dominic Cruz, who actually just hung up his gloves there as well. Ross, okay, just before we get into this weekend's Irish action, we want to give a massive shout out to a couple of fighters that won over the weekend. We'll start with MMA Cork's Paul Buckley, who won over in Egypt, Ross.
Yeah, he did. He won on Arabian Fight League, second round rear naked choke. Yeah, look, MMA Cork's own Paul Buckley. He's moved over to Dubai. He's full time there with John Mitchell, Nathan Kelly, Senan Coakley. They're all trained under Aussie. Look, they seem to be doing great things over there. I think Paul Buckley has always looked like a massive talent. I can't wait to see what the future holds from 2-0 now. Racking up the finish as well. I can't wait to see it. Hopefully we get to see him again soon because he looks like he was unscathed and he looks like he's in phenomenal shape.
Yeah, there could be a link there to Oktagon as well in the future. Then also Team KF duo Omran Shaban and Omar Tugarov won in Finland at MMA Cage. Cage MMA?
Yeah, Cage MMA.
Cage MMA.
Yeah, so both guys getting a finish. Omar Tugarev, he is definitely someone I could see fighting on Dana White's contender series at some stage. 7-0, 6 finishes, 2-0 already this year, and what we're in February. Like, that guy is an absolute machine. He turns the fights around like there's no tomorrow. He is a human wrecking ball. I can't wait to see him out there again. He is someone that, a lot of promotions must be looking at. And then Omran Shaban, probably nice for him to go back to Finland and fight over there. And then obviously he got the Dars choke victory, which is something we've seen before. I think he's also someone who could fight on Dana White's contender series, but he seems to be just racking up the wins to get a UFC contract in the next couple of fights. So I think both Team KF fighters look like they could be UFC bound before the end of the year.
Yeah, Omran, another tough alumni as well. And then this weekend's Team KF athlete Dom Norcus returns to UAE Warriors. Ross, what do you make of the hype behind Dom Norcus?
Yeah, well, the guy seems to be putting on performance and finish after finish. I think Dom Norcus, is he arguably, the hottest prospect of Team KF? Potentially so. There's
it's going to be difficult. It's difficult now with
difficult with those two. But look, I think obviously when Dom turned 18, I think he did 7 fights in 6 months on the amateur scene before turning pro. So him and Omar, I don't know how Chris is going to put up with their fight output. Fighting every weekend, those two. So look, we love to see it. We love to see fighters that active, especially that young in their career. And biggest stage yet for Dom Norcus fighting on UAE Warriors.
Yeah, well, that's how you get your name out there, by staying active. And then also Saturday night, just quickly, the boxing goes down. Riyadh season seems like every week is Riyadh season. Daniel Dubois is taking on Joseph Parker for the heavyweight title, and also in the co-main event, Bivol is taking on Better BF, and the card is pretty stacked as well. That's going to be on a good time for us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. I think that's the best boxing card from top to bottom we've seen in a long time.
Yeah, and then shout out to the Muay Thai event going down in Cork. Siam Warriors, Ross. That's one definitely not to be missed for all you absolute MMA mixed martial arts degenerates. But Ross, we cannot finish the show without this Sunday. Decky McAleenan's Your Fighting Championships 14 is going down in Newry. Ross, there's 3 pro fights on the card. The main event is going to be Kieran Brady from Newry Muay Thai.
On Team Torres.
And Team Torres is taking on Georgi Grozov from Hula Martial Arts. First of all, what you make of this matchup, Ross, and what you make of the card?
This one is an absolute banger. First of all, of a card, but this is the main event that you could have easily seen on the 22nd of April in Cage Warriors. This is a fight that you easily could see headlining any show across the country. This is one of those ones that people look back at and go, I can't believe we got this on an Irish domestic card. Both these guys look incredible at the moment. Georgi Grozov over in NFL recently. Kieran Brady getting wins on and in Cage Warriors. You know what I mean? Like Georgi Grozov also got a win on Cage Warriors as well. Like these guys are top tier talent. You know, these are probably, you'd easily have them in your top 10 fighters with under 5 fights in the UK and Ireland. These are some of the elite. They're going toe to toe, and you know, may the best man win. But that is an absolute treat. Well, I don't know how much it costs to get a ticket for or if there's any left, but my God, that is worth every penny.
Yeah, it's actually a huge fight for both fighters to get their name out there even further, and then who knows where they could go next. Obviously, Georgie's fought on Cage Warriors as well, and Levels, and like Kieran's fought on Cage Warriors as well. So it's sort of, it's a bit like the cage conflict fight between Sean McCormack and Brian Manning. Like the winner of that will have huge, big opportunities to move on from afterwards as well. Ross, just in the other 2, is there any other fights you want to discuss on this card as well?
Yeah, but I think obviously, you know, we saw Lewis Byrne win on Clan Wars with that sort of inverted neck crank. That was a crazy submission. He's fighting Alex McCook, so I think like that's one that I want to see. You know, I think Lewis has looked really good of late, and let's see if Alex McCook can stay on top of that. What about you, Basmo?
Yeah, then Oktagon Challenge alumni Aaron McDonald is taking on Jake Gilpin as well. That's another fight that people have to look out for, because like I think Aaron, like a big win here, like who knows where they could take him as well.
Yeah, another Team Torres head as well, so he'll have the hometown support.
Yeah, there's a good few title fights on the card as well. We'll be promoting that event throughout the week. Decky McLean is recovering from injury at the moment, so like we were looking forward to seeing him at the Cage Warriors Dublin card, but he's
He'll probably just be there with point in hand instead.
Yeah, matchmaking people, trying to get people to fight in the next Your Fighting Championships.
Yeah, and you know what? That Aaron McDonald and Jake Gilpin fight is an absolute banger. I'm pretty sure Jake Gilpin was an amateur champion at Euro, so yeah, I'm down for that one as well, Basmo.
Yeah. So, like, make sure to keep an eye on the Energized Instagram page for all the latest news. Ross, that's another show in the books, unless you have to anything to say of what you have coming up.
No, all good, bud. All good. I can't wait for this weekend's action. I think it's going to be absolutely epic to see. Fair play to Deck McLean, and you're putting on a great show, and you know, kicking off the year in style for Irish MMA.
Yeah. First one, Ross, I think it is.
Yeah,
isn't it?
first one.
Yeah. There you go. Busy weekend ahead, bud.
Yeah, get off your seats, get your wallets out, and buy the stream link, and make sure to watch.
And get energized, man.
And stay energized, baby.
So thanks a million for everyone for tuning in. We'll be back again next week discussing all the latest MMA combat sports news, and we'll also have a very special guest as well. So make sure to like, make sure to share, make sure to subscribe, and as always,
Stay energized.
energized.
The Energized Show, up the Irish. It's the face that runs the place, Chaos Curtis. I want to thank the Irish MMA community so much for getting behind me. Yup, the Chaos Cartel.